It's my first time. All right, we're live. We're live, and it's not my first time. But on May 18th, welcome to Social Business Hour, hashtag SBizHour on the Twitters. No, it's not our first time. We've been doing this for well over a year. I'm Brian Fanzo, better known as iSocialFans on the Twitters. As always, for all of these long year of plus of Twitter chats, Rachel Miller, my co-host, has been stuck with me on Monday afternoons. How are you today, Rachel?
Hey everyone, hi Brian, hello Vincenzo. I'm awesome. This is a great topic, and I really couldn't be more stoked to have you two to discuss this with, because you guys are kind of setting the bar incredibly high as far as video usage goes, so excited to kick this off.
Yeah, I'm excited as well. You know, I've had a good day. On the video side, I'm actually kicking off a Periscope right now because we like to go very omni-channel. And of course, our guest has actually, we have nicknames going on, but he has one that's actually off of the new app. And I like to introduce him, and I will introduce him as the digital strategist, but I will better introduce him as VinCat, which went from a karaoke cat to social and personal branding advice. He's sitting with Jason Derulo last week on Periscope. I mean, he can dust it off because the guy can not only talk video, but he's living it. Vincenzo, also the host of MCO Talk, welcome to Social Business Hour.
Thanks for having me, Brian. It's been a lot of fun, and the VinCat thing just kind of took off. So it wasn't even that was not made up by me at all. I just want the world to know that was completely given to me by the viewers. So I love it.
Yeah, I think I was on the Meerkat whenever that started happening. Whenever they started wanting to call you that, when the early days of Meerkat adoption. So I think that's an interesting one. But as always, we are on the Twitters using the hashtag SBizHour. You can jump into the conversation. We will be posting out the questions there. We have, without question, the best community manager on any Twitter chat. I will take it to the bank. I dare you to challenge me. Kristen Cardos is out there running the SBizHour handle for us, getting you questions. She'll be feeding us questions into our Google Hangout Twitter chats. We also have Meerkat and Periscope going on over here just because that's just how we do it. And we're talking about video, and I liked the idea, Rachel, you said, did video kill the radio star? Or maybe did video change what the social media star will look like? But give us a little background, Rachel, on the topic, what you were thinking here, and let's get this party started.
So, I mean, it's very topical, so you can't really avoid video, or especially live streaming, anywhere on the interwebs these days. And I think I'm loving this trend. I think it plays nicely to kind of what we're all hoping to achieve by being on social media. Using video just kind of really amplifies the you-ness, we'll call it, or the realness of what we're doing. And live streaming is just kind of like that next logical step. So today I'm excited to have you guys share some of your tips and tricks. I know you guys are out there daily streaming, and you guys do it better than anybody, because I've seen some disasters, so I think we'll kind of showcase what not to do as well. We won't name drop, but I think we've all seen some examples where you're like, man, you are not made for live stream video. But it's a learning curve like anything else. You got to get your feet wet and find out what works for you. So I'm going to hand it over to Vincenzo with the first question. Why is video so darn powerful?
You know what? This question, I think sometimes we ask it so much now, and it's almost like, for me, I look at it and I'm saying, why is video so powerful? The proof is in the pudding. Look at what we're doing with video. Look at where it's bringing us. We're having a live discussion right now, and we're in three different time zones, whatever it is here, or I think two. And we're broadcasting to a group of individuals that we may or may not have reached before, and that's just for this. That's for a specific topic, a specific agenda that we have here in this show, where we have questions. It's a question and answer format. It's like daytime TV. I mean, instead of watching, I don't know, Oprah Winfrey or whatever, I don't even watch daytime, so I don't even know what type of talk shows are on during the afternoon, but we're watching this, and I'm sure there's plenty of others that are at work that find this a lot more beneficial than some kind of daytime talk show. So that's why this is important. But I think video is also important for brands, and I know you have some other questions that you wanted to throw around, but it's so important for brands and even personal branding, because people can see your personality, and that's been my biggest, or the biggest thing for me, is that people peered into my life, peered into what I do. They can see how I act. And again, I'm talking personally because that's all I can talk for. But they can just kind of take a view. I mean, if, Brian, same thing with you. Getting to know you better, and you've been all over video before the live stream. But for me, I never embarked on that video bandwagon. And now that I have, because of live streaming, it's just been a huge, huge success for me. And I recommend it to everybody, obviously. But I had a really, well, I don't know, maybe you want to ask me later. I'll talk about some experiences, personal brand experiences after this.
Well, I think that's actually a great one that comes about is really this whole idea of personal brand and really what that personal brand is and how people are leveraging it. And I mean, I talk about employee advocacy, I talk about social business, and here's the deal. I mean, we're living in the generation where your first impression is no longer what you have in your wardrobe in your closet. It is your digital first impression. And so you have to find ways to tell your story. And here's the deal. Social media is hard to stand out from the noise. It's freaking noisy. And you know what else is hard to do is prove you're not fake. Because my challenge is, and the honest conversation I have here is there is a crap load of people that are fake on social media that are really damn successful. You know what? And kudos to them. They are doing. But you know what? This is the age where that shit does not scale. It is no longer okay for you to give bad advice for a long time because nobody else is in the social media space or nobody is on digital or you're not having validated. I mean, we're living in the area now where it's like Vegas. What happens online is staying online, and your authenticity, your real raw value is what exists online. And I think video is that snapshot into who the hell you really are. I mean, Rachel, you and I, when we added video to this Twitter chat a little over a year ago, for us it was we want to highlight people that maybe weren't great on Twitter, but we also wanted to give them a platform to tell their story in a way that stood out. Because in the Twitter stream, inside that hashtag, oftentimes it gets really noisy, and the guest can get the guest is the same 140 characters as everybody else in there. So to me, video, it's that storytelling, and it's standing out from the noise, and really, it's hard to fake this, especially live video.
Well, you brought up a good point, too, and you said about maybe people aren't great at Twitter or on Twitter. Personally, for me, I'll speak about MCO Talk, I've got people watching that show now that never gave a rat's ass about what I did on Twitter. Personal friends, family, people that followed me but were like, you tweet too much, unfollow. And I'm like, that's totally okay. And Brian, you and I have had discussions about that all the time. Like, if you think I tweet too much, then just unfollow me and save yourself. But now people are like, wow, you know what, that topic. I've had people texting me after MCO Talk shows, like asking me questions about the topic or saying, wow, I learned so much about X, Y, and Z that I never thought in a million years would give a crap about anything. And now here they are, they're all about it. So, the video aspect of it has turned on people that would have never watched or would have never cared about a topic. So I think that's just shows the power in and of itself.
I know, for me, I think video has expedited that loyalty factor, I guess, for lack of a better word. I think because they feel like they know you more so. I mean, they see your tweets, they read your blog posts, they like you,
right,
they think you're smart. But when they see you talking and it's not scripted, you're candid, you're not just saying your catchphrase on Twitter every 5 minutes, you're giving your honest answers, they're seeing you pause and maybe trip over a word, but you're still being you and you're still showcasing your expertise. And I think that's why video is so powerful and just so addicting for everybody, for the people on camera and for the people watching.
Well, it's all about emotion too. You can only take emotion so far on 140 characters, or even through text, and this happens all the time. We get caught up in chats and texting and all these other forms of communication that aren't face-to-face anymore. We're losing that face-to-face. I think we've even lost the phone aspect of things and picking up the phone and talking to people. I know Brian.
Texting machine?
Well, yeah, pretty much. And Brian showed his. I think Brian, you've showed your home screen before. You don't even have the phone in your in your bottom bar.
I couldn't tell you where my phone icon is on my phone right now.
Yeah. Well, and that's so powerful to me, because where do we lose that? And there's like this gap, and you have conversations with individual. Everything now is online. Everything is.
When do you stop calling it a phone, Brian? I think you need to rename it. It's not a smartphone.
It's a mini iPad with a calling feature.
Well, the funny part is, I still I still talk to people probably more so than most people that have that phone icon sitting on their screen, right? I mean, for me, I want to look you in your digital eyeballs, and part of that is, I talk about it a lot. One of the biggest aspects for me, and holy cow, did I just zoom in that video like way too close on my face here on Hangout, but that's really authentic. I think you guys are going to get a little bit too much there. I'm going to change that. But here's the deal also is there's no easy button on personal brand building, and there's no easy button on relationships. But I would say that there slightly is an easy button with automation and scheduling on social, where you can almost come across as a little bit of really great at what you're doing, but you aren't. And the thing about video is there is no easy button. There's no automation. You get on there, you screw up your words, you all of a sudden you start cussing. That's who you are, and I think that's who people want to engage with. They follow you because of you, and unfortunately sometimes we forget that, and video almost brings it back to forefront. And I will tell people all the time, they ask me how I had crazy Twitter growth, and every time my examples start by saying 10 platforms that aren't Twitter. And I talk about how I use Google Hangouts, how I use SlideShares, how I have a podcast, how when I do my offline events, I connect. My personal brand is who I am. I mean, I don't know where my badge is now, but I went to the IBM event, right? I mean, for everyone that saw this, I took my first name off of my badge and put my Twitter handle on there. Because to me, if someone's going to remember something, I want them to remember iSocial fans, not Brian. Because there's lots of Brians, there's only one iSocial fans. And I think that element of video is really the powerful side here. But you're right, some people suck at it, and honestly, some people are using video completely in the wrong way. And once the shock and the fear of missing out wears off, they're going to have nowhere to for their echo chamber to live.
So I think we're all in agreement that video is indeed a powerful communication channel. So let's put on our little crystal ball thinking, future predicting hats. And where do you see video going? Do you think it'll be our #1 communication channel of choice going forward? Will we not read anymore? We'll just always have to be listening and seeing something?
Well, I don't think it's going to go there. I think it's already there, and if it's not there right now, it's not as far into the future as we think. I mean, look at YouTube. It's like the second largest searched website in the world behind Google.
Look at that savvy, sexy social fact you're bringing in there.
I give a lot of credit to Amy Schmittauer, Savvy Sexy Social, if she's watching, and I hope she is. The power of video, we've seen it it's already been in the making. YouTube has been searched for a long time before now live stream. I think live streaming just brought it more, I think it brought it the importance of video sooner. People were like, oh, YouTube, ha ha ha, you just look up funny videos. But a lot of people, actually, in fact, I think Brian tweeted that he looked up about 10 videos on how to pack while he was packing for his move to Virginia. And, we've all done it. I mean, I've looked up how to fix, my air conditioning unit on YouTube. I've looked up how to fix a dishwasher. I mean, I've looked up so many different things on YouTube, just to do around the house or anything, how to fix a car, how to do something.
Dude, IKEA needs to come out with videos because reading their instructions is just.
But this is what I'm saying. It's so important,
right? That's what we're talking about here. I mean, and you're right. I couldn't figure out how to pack picture frames this weekend because I'm moving, and so I went on YouTube and watched 10 different videos on it. And guess what? I knocked out some picture frames. I'm an expert in picture frame, video, and I think, it's funny because what I noticed was, and because I have that marketer hat on, who had all those videos? Moving companies. They were teaching me how to solve a problem, and I'm like, they're almost taking away from their business. But here's the thing. You know how many hours it took me yesterday to do the picture frames? About 6. And I can tell you what, I might be really good at it, but I can promise you next time I will be paying someone else to do it because they taught me, and now I even respect the craft even more. And the interesting part to your question there, Rachel, is I also noticed that I don't consume a ton of video still today. I do a lot of video, but I consume so much while I'm multitasking, and I might be one of the exceptions to this rule where I'm doing something where I can't consume something that also has sound. Maybe I'm on video or maybe I'm on a podcast because I do a lot of reading. But I also think that's kind of one of those things that kind of is shifting and changing because, video consumption on mobile. I read a stat. It was one of the stats on this Meerkat Periscope debate, and I think it said 45% of the internet will be video by 2025. And that's 40. How much more is porn? And then the rest of it's what? Come on, we're not going to have much left of the internet. But in all seriousness, I think it's an interesting discussion.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on all that. Video, well, go ahead, Rachel. Go ahead. I know you want to talk. Get a word in edgewise here.
No, I was going to agree with what Brian was saying. Like, even though I'm on video, I'm very targeted when I watch it. So it's usually, like you said, I have a need. I am going to look at how if it's cooking or how to put a desk together because I can't work out how to read the instructions. That's usually what I do, because I am always multitasking. Even in the evening, it's rare that I'm just watching TV. I'm usually watching TV, and then I'm also writing a blog post or replying to emails. So for me, that's why podcasts I think are actually fitting more so into my schedule right now than video, because it's just that the audio aspect that I can then augment whatever I'm doing and still be learning. But no, it makes a lot of sense though that in another 40 years it's going to be a dominant communication channel.
Well, yeah, and for me, nonverbal cues are huge. I played poker for a while professionally, and I went to a camp that actually was from an FBI agent. He taught us how to read nonverbal cues. And so when I'm giving a keynote, I'm on stage. I'm reading the front row, where their feet are, where their hands are, how they're reacting to my content. And on social and even on audio, you lose that. And that aspect in the video, like I love being able to hear, and I can tell you guys, I'm looking at the video, I'm engaging, I'm multitasking by looking at Twitter to understand what the conversation is, and I'm watching Vincenzo and Rachel's little squares in the corner to know when they're like, God, will Brian ever shut up and let anyone else have any word in edgewise? And you don't get that on podcasts, and sometimes I drone on. So I think that nonverbal cues things is interesting. Our friend Marcia Collier jumped in. I love Marcia. Marcia's done some amazing things in the e-commerce space, and she said her husband built and sold a mobile video studio and posted it on YouTube that has over 200,000 views on YouTube. The element there where even finding not only things to make your career better, but also entertainment. There's so much, the value of video, and honestly, how much this conversation can also shift to the idea where I don't really watch TV anymore without a second device with me. And so now consumption of even regular TV is much like we're doing this. We have Twitter up and we're talking on video and we're engaging here. I got Meerkat comments coming in. I got Periscope comments coming in. For me, I think the element of really feeling a part of something and being connected is another aspect of video that we can't underestimate.
I agree. It's that real-time engagement that I think is so powerful.
Vincenzo, I don't know why we got a reverb out of your thing. So
how's that?
Yep. I think that's good.
Good.
All right. So this is a question that I've been excited to ask you as video experts. What makes a better video? How you look or what you say?
Well, it's definitely what you say. It doesn't matter what you look like. Well, let me rephrase that. It does matter.
I disagree. If I had Vincenzo's look, I would have a whole hell of a lot more followers. I'm just going to put that out there.
It does not. I don't think it matters how you look, but you should look, halfway decent. You should present yourself in a way that reflects what you're trying to portray. I don't think that. Listen, you can come on here and look like a slob and try and talk, and maybe some people like that, but I'm not going to. I personally wouldn't sit here to try and talk about something that I am trying to attract clients. As a strategist, as a branding specialist, I wouldn't sit here looking like a complete slob talking to you guys about something. No one's going to take me seriously. But at the end of the day, as long as I look presentable, what I say is going to matter. I could talk complete gibberish. I look fine, right? I think I look fine today. If I'm talking about nothing, people will be like, really? We will never listen to you again. And that's the big thing with video too, is that you can make or break yourself like instantly. I mean, if you're boring, if you have nothing to talk about, and that's why I've taken a little bit of, I've gone kind of through my ups and downs with video, because I've been having other opportunities lately. So I would rather not put out content just to put it out for the sake of having it. I'd rather have something good to talk about. And most of my streams that have done really well, most of the things that I put out there, video content that have been, really watched or commented on, have been more quality content, not just for the sake of being on and showing a pretty face.
Right, which brings up an excellent point, which is my major beef with live stream right now, because my phone is always blowing up with people telling me that they're driving to pick up a pizza or they're walking around the park, and that's not going to get my attention. Like, I'll pick up the ones that, like debating the pros and cons of XYZ or interview with so-and-so. I mean, I think you need to know what you want to say to get someone's attention. I think there are people, sure, that maybe they want to walk around the park with you. That's fantastic. But you can be walking around the park and sharing a great tip on how to do something. Like, I think maybe the setting in itself is great, but you could also just take a picture of the park and, there it is.
Well,
Because the dead air aspect, I've watched a lot of dead air on live stream, and I was like, man, there goes 5 minutes of my life.
Well, for me, I think there's an element here where I actually think looks matter, but it's actually the look that you portray from a confidence standpoint on what you're delivering. And I think that's the look that matters. I think, value, yes, but here's the deal. I mean,
but it's also the setting too. So it's just the person, your attire, but it's where you are. I think the whole ambiance of the experience needs to be in consideration.
Well, like you said, I mean, there's a couple of people that jumped on Meerkat, and there's like, what about Nora, and what about the crazy rise to growth for people that are having crazy growth on Meerkat? And here's my comment to them on that statement is, when we're thinking about this, is remember, we're still in the early days of like almost shock video, right? We're almost in this point where we're in the element where people are jumping in because they're afraid of missing out. I embrace that. But after a while, you all have 24 hours a day. And you're going to pick and spend your time watching something that makes you better or entertains you or whatever your audience wants. And I think here's the deal. What makes someone great is less about even what they're saying and less about what they look like. It's more about their ability to relate with the audience. And I think that starts with understanding your audience and understanding your comfort level. Yes, you're a celebrity, and I even put this to Robert Scoble today when I was talking to him. We don't have the luxury of Gary Vaynerchuk or Robert Scoble and being able to get on there and people. I mean, it's a celebrity element, right? We have the luxury that we have great audiences and great communities. And if people want to grow their following and be great on video, listen to your audience, just like Jay Baer talks about. Understand how you can solve their problems or what value they want from you, and freaking provide it. Don't waste their time with stuff that doesn't do it. And Vin, you and I have had this discussion because I think your karaoke element, which we can kind of talk about here, is a window into your personal brand and expression of who you are. I love it. I say continue doing it, but it doesn't have to be what defines you. And you know what defines you? It's your confidence. It's your ability to listen. It's the fact you care about your audience. And those that suck at these videos scream at the video, tell people what to do, and they don't listen to what their audience wants, and they go, nobody watches me. I used to have 45 followers every time. And you're like, well, eventually they got over the fact that you think you're better than everybody.
Yeah, you have to engage the audience and create value. It goes with anything. It's like the #1 rule of marketing, right? I mean, identify your audience, figure out who you're talking to, and then give them value. You can't. Am I good? Okay. You can't just sit there or whatever, stand, walk around, and basically pontificate. Just have something good to say, and then engage. I mean, that was the biggest piece of feedback I got early on, especially with live stream, and not just live stream, but even my interactions on Twitter, but for the sake of video conversation here, was that I engaged almost every single person, either jumping in to my streams, commenting on my streams, and then I would go back and talk to them again afterwards. That was why I continue to be a huge proponent of Meerkat, is because I can go back and continue the conversations. I've opened up a whole world of an audience an entire different audience that I didn't have before that as just a Twitter talking head, a little bobbing head talking. And, to me, that's so important. But the carry great because people got to see like, oh, wow, he's got more to say than just, jabbering on about social media all the time and posting headlines about social media and, trying to create little quotables. It was, wow, there's more to them. And that's what video opens up, not only for individuals, but for brands as well. I mean, people want to see that brands are human. So, video opens the doors to that world.
So let's stay kind of in the brand zone for a minute, because I know, Enzo, you have some great examples that are actually quite recent. So for question 4, raw and real are really what makes video so compelling, but how do you still have a strategy and create content? And I think what you went to New York for last week is a great example of something that was real, raw in the moment, but also very strategic and planned.
Yeah, so I had the opportunity, for those of you that don't know, I had the opportunity of getting out to Times Square in New York City for Applebee's, thanks to the group over at BTC Revolutions, who gave me the opportunity to really be there. There was definitely a strategy and definitely a plan in place. It wasn't like, hey, here's a camera, go live stream and do whatever you want. It was to an extent, given the fact that they trusted who I was, but they trusted who I was because I already showed and proved on video that I could handle a live stream. I can handle talking and knowing what I'm talking about. So Applebee's had me out there, and we live streamed and an event they had was the Taste the Change Fest. They changed up their menu, and they did this big party in Times Square. They basically blocked off a whole section of Times Square. And this just goes to show how well they executed this. They took this entire section of Times Square, blocked it off. So they had this physical location where people could come. There was over 2,000 people that came. There was free food. There was pool. There was darts. There was live entertainment. Jason Derulo, the ex-ambassadors, performed. So they were able to bring in a variety of senses right there. So they had physical marketing, right? Well, they took this physical marketing plan in Times Square, and they blasted it nationally through Twitter, through Facebook, through Instagram. And then they said, well, how about we do a live stream for those people that can't be in New York City? How do we get them here and feeling like, hey, you're part of something? Well, that's where the live stream came in. So we took to Periscope, and we live streamed the event. We did like 6 or 7 20 to 30-minute streams. We broke it down. It wasn't just one long stream. So it became kind of snackable. And we were able to interview everybody that was there, and not everybody, but talk to certain people and talk to the staff, I got the chance to talk to Jason Derulo after the event. So it was like people got a chance. So if you were watching on Periscope, you actually had more access than someone that was actually at the event that didn't get to talk to Jason Derulo. How cool is that? And it was so well executed from a marketing standpoint because they really pushed it hard, to the tune of nearly 500 million impressions just in that day around a specific hashtag, Watch Applebee's. And they had the video billboards up on the screen, so people were able to tweet into the hashtag. So there was just a lot of different things that came into play, but it was all really focused around that live streaming, getting more people around this event that was happening in one location. Times Square was literally, it was a little like 100 by 100 block that we were on, square foot block, and the whole world, or whoever wanted to watch it, felt like they were there. So
well, let's keep in mind something real quick, that you kind of you threw it under the rug to start your conversation, and this was the key. They trusted you because they watched you on video.
I don't like to brag about myself, but yes.
Well, I'll brag about you for you. I'm pretty good at that part of it. I can master that element. Here's the deal. For me, they could have sent an Applebee's employee. They could have sent somebody to go out there and do that. They trusted you because of a relationship that you built and that you validated online with video. And I think that ability to do that allowed them to trust you, that they gave you some swim lanes, thank God, because I don't think they give you an open canvas, then you really get scared on what not to do. They gave you some swim lanes. You went out there and rocked it. I loved it. I'm seeing Nick Cicero and Chris Barrows hanging around the outside, and Suzanne, and I felt like, like not only did Applebee's get it, but I tweeted this out today. Literally since Vincenzo, and I of course am a fan and friend of yours, since you did the Periscope, and it was before Jason Derulo got on there because the celebrity element wasn't what drew me in, it was how the brand was using it. They had a picture of a sandwich that you put onto the Periscope, and you said, what is that you guys are eating? I've been craving that sandwich for Applebee's since he did that Periscope. I mean, that to me is an element there, and I tweeted it out, and it might come across as like me giving, it's the truth, and I can honestly say, and I think that's the element where these brands are getting it. I took over the Social Media Today handle a couple weeks ago, and I did a promo for how they're going to promote the Social Shakeup event. And you know what? They gave me no swim lanes. They just said, hey, Brian, we trust you. Drive some traffic to our event. People are going to be excited to come see you speak. And I think that trust element is key. And I think when it comes to brands, I mean, my philosophy, I've been telling this across the board, it's easy. Think like a fan. You know what Applebee's fans wanted to see? They wanted to see a Meerkat star go out there and kind of engage with the Applebee's chefs, Applebee's food, bring in a celebrity, have that conversation, and give them access that fans never have access to before. And guess what? Not only did it work, but then you hit it out of the park. I love what Amanda Height and I love what the BTC team does when it comes to true engagement on social media. That's how brands have to do it. MasterCard's doing it really well. Mashable's doing it really well. I thought Huffington Post Live the other day did a really cool one where they were interviewing people before they got interviewed on HuffPost Live. Like, think like a fan. It sounds freaking simple, but I think that's what Applebee's did, and that's why it's a home run.
Yeah, and Ben Phillips just dropped a note in the feed here, and he said that I was all over Snapchat stories too. So the other part of the day was bringing in influencers and people tied to the cause, essentially, to amplify it. So Nick Cicero was there, like you said, Chris Barrows was there. I had personally my assistant for the day, Susan Harrison, so she was tweeting for me while I was like trying to do all this other stuff. And so Snapchat. People were blasting out via Snapchat. So, and of course, that's video as well. It's just a different type of video, but it was all over the place. So, I just
well, actually, that's a good point too. There, I mean, what you're saying there on that whole Snapchat and influencers, they didn't go to all these communities and say, you suck where you're at, come watch us here. They brought the audience, the content to the audience in all different forms. And I think we have to think about that. And that's why I have Meerkat and Periscope going right now. And that's why I will not answer the question versus Meerkat versus Periscope. It's too early, and tell you what, my communities are different on both. Sometimes they overlap, but I like both of them. And why would I force someone that wants to provide value for me to go to where I'm at? I think that's the wrong way brands are doing it today. They say, come to my landing page of my website. Stop where you're engaging and having fun. Come, let me inconvenience you so I can go provide my value to you. And I think that's the wrong way. I loved the use of Snapchat. I mean, Snapchat has won me over hands down, and it's thanks to Nick Cicero and Ben and a lot of these guys that are doing great jobs on Snapchat and brands. I mean, the Preakness had one going on this week. I mean, there's some really cool things, and you know why? It's because it comes simple, and it's my hashtag, but they show they care. Show you care, and this stuff becomes pretty easy, in my opinion.
Excuse me. And I know, Brian, you've had this discussion with so many different people, Meerkat versus Periscope. To me, it's not important. It's not an important conversation anymore to be had. And I'm not knocking you in the conversations you have, but to me, I don't feel that it's really what anyone needs to focus on, because, like you said, that's where people are focusing. Whoa, which one is better? And whatever one works. I've made my bones, so to speak, on Meerkat, but I was asked to use Periscope. It's the same concept. Nothing changes. You're still going to interact. You're still going to have to be yourself. That doesn't change. It's the same thing as Google Hangouts. The same as Nerf and their new tool coming out. So no matter what you're doing, if there's video involved and it's live, you need to act the same on no matter what platform. There's just a different label stuck to it. There's just a different app button to push. It has nothing to do with who's got more money. They're all tools. Wherever your audience is, that's where you need to be. And like
what's funny about that too is you didn't go after and Applebee's. I would love to hear on this impressions and how they gauge, because you know what, trending on Twitter is no longer the goal. It's providing value and reaching the audience on all the platforms. And I think that was a key element of what that platform was, because I felt like I got different content on Instagram, Snapchat, and on Periscope. And yes, I'm one of the ones that is on all of those. But from an audience perspective, when I think like a fan, so many fans just want to engage that one app they use. They don't have time to do what some of the, I would say, the social media stars are doing. And so I think that is a key element as well. I think the trust is key. I mean, there's some brands, Hootsuite, I mean, mad love for what they did. I think Hootsuite uses it as a recruiting tool, a culture tool, and honestly, Hootsuite proved to me they trust their employees across the board. They gave Periscope access to a different employee at every different building location around the world, and they gave 30-minute walkthrough around the building. To me, that's still my favorite use case of a Periscope so far.
Well, you know who does a great job of that too? I mean, VaynerMedia. They give a different intern or employee their Snapchat, and they do Snapchat stories from wherever they're located, whether it's LA or New York. You know, and they literally give them leeway. I mean, you get some of their employees are like waking up in the morning and they're like, oh, waking up, ready to go to work and spending my beautiful day here in LA or whatever it may be. And you know, at first I have to say, I was kind of like, I don't get this. Like, I don't see the value here. But then of course, like, it sucks you in. You keep watching it, and I'm like, wow, it looks like it's a fun place to work. And now here it is. I'm talking about it on SBiz Hour because it's made such an impact for me to watch it, when at first I thought it was stupid. So shout out to their team there, doing a great job with that and that aspect of you know, especially video.
Well, yeah, and what you said right there, I mean, everyone's talking about humanization, right? I mean, Brian Kramer, I love H to H, and everyone's talking about that, and they're talking about culture. But you know what? Let's stop talking about it. Let's start showing it off. And that's my challenge to every brand. It's my challenge to politicians. You know, politicians are the fakest of all fakes, and you know what? If they want to prove that they're not fake, that they can actually stand on their own 2 feet, they are human, they are authentic, they might stumble, jump on Periscope, jump on Meerkat, ask questions from the people that you want to elect you. And if you really are good, you don't need your PR team to hand you talking notes. And I think it's the same with brands, because you know what? I'm going to drive past a Ruby Tuesdays now to go to Applebee's because I realize that they're engaging with their audience, and if I end up having a bad experience, they're going to relate with me, and I don't think of them as a logo. I think of them as a community, and I think brands have to look at that because I mean, without question, community is the future of business when it comes to marketing. How you relate with it, how you build it, and how you invest in it. And I think that's how brands, you know, are really, you know, doing it well. And Rachel, I think Rachel, you and I have talked about this a little bit when it comes to this the video, and I'm curious. I think you brought it up, and I'm not sure if it's one of our questions, mainly because even though I host this thing, I somehow deleted the the question box for my thing. But the idea of who owns that experience, who owns the video experience, or really that video conversation. You know, I know you have kind of insights on that. I would love to hear your thoughts, and then really see what Vinny thinks on that side.
Well, because it is such a hot topic, I've actually put entirely too much thought into it because, you know, anytime you mention experience in broadcasting, somebody wants to own it. And I think in the case of live streaming, because it is such kind of a fleeting situation in many cases, unless you're recording it, I've kind of come to the conclusion that who owns it is the viewer. They've permissioned themselves into the experience, and they're owning it. They're going on the ride with you. And I think if you keep that in mind, making it the best experience for the person owning it should be the goal. And that kind of changes what you're doing, and it kind of puts your head in the right spot for success, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, I think the broadcaster, you know, personally, I think the broadcaster owns it because, I don't disagree with you. I think the broadcaster owns it because of the fact that I'm responsible for what I am giving to you as the viewer. But again, as the viewer, I can turn it off. So you're right.
A broadcaster broadcasting with no viewers is not a broadcaster. They're just a person that's lonely talking to nobody, right? I mean, I think that's kind of the point here is, you know, and actually,
I think the broadcaster, we can dive into this. If you're just the vehicle for the experience, you're sharing, because you don't actually, if you want to get to the nitty-gritty, you are not owning it. If you're at a concert or you're at a movie screening, whatever it is, you don't own shit. You're just there. You're viewing it too, and you're just channeling it to a different audience.
But but I'm the one who had the balls to sit here for 7 hours and sing karaoke. Yeah, I was singing covers of other songs, right? Great. But I'm the one, personally, who had. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying I'm right. But I just think that. I think it's a two-way street, you know. There has to be value because you obviously need an audience, but there also has to be somebody. It's kind of like the chicken and egg situation. You know, there's an audience, but would there be an audience if I wasn't broadcasting? Would there be an opportunity for an audience if I wasn't broadcasting, or you weren't broadcasting, or Brian wasn't broadcasting, or the news wasn't broadcasting? If there was no audience, maybe I wouldn't bother broadcasting. You know, so it goes. I think it goes so many different ways. And again, Rachel, it's not to say that you're wrong. It's not to say that I'm right. It's just to say, well, there's different ways to look at it. And again, if the audience isn't engaging, then what? Then maybe I don't do it ever again. Maybe I'm like, okay, well, this is worthless to me. I don't want to bother.
Right. No, there needs to be obviously mutual value. But no, for me, that's kind of the conclusion that I've come to. Like, I don't feel it needs to have like a monetization factor. Mm-hmm. But I think ultimately, because the viewer turns it off and on, and I understand the person broadcasting turns it off and on as well. But I think it's an interesting way to look at it. And something I'm going to ponder. Maybe there's a blog post. Who knows?
Well, and I also think when we're having this discussion, it's funny because my Meerkat app just crashed. It's the good and bad of working on the beta app is I get to deal with the crashes and that piece. But part of the thing on video is like my video just crashed, right? And we're having this conversation, and and I think it's that element also where the audience you have to not only engage, but the reason Meerkat and Periscope are so much different than my video blog and Ustream for me is I get real-time feedback, and I'll give a shout-out to Elizabeth Traub. Elizabeth, who rocks the Twitters, when I made my quote, community is the future of business, she said it always has been. We now must adapt real-time value to online. And I agree. And I always talk about Tim McDonald having a drastic impact on my career, and Tim really refocusing me on community. And community is different than a network. And I think also that comes into how you build around this app. I mean, how many times do you hear Vincenzo? I mean, you have more followers on Meerkat than I do. And I hear all the time, Brian, how do I grow my following? And for me, it's really about connecting your community and bridging your community. I don't need to grow a following on Meerkat. I need to talk to my community that loves me already and let them know, hey, this is where you can consume this value. And I think that's what it's important to me. I mean, you have more followers on Meerkat than you do on Twitter right now, right, Vin?
I have like 15 times the followers, but it doesn't mean anything to me. People are like, wow, you have 40,000 followers on Meerkat. It's like, that's great, but I only want to talk to the ones that actually talk to me, because people are going to jump in and out, and that happens all the time. People jump in, they're not interested, whatever it may be. Maybe they just click the alert button. It just means that more people know that I'm broadcasting. That's all it is. It doesn't mean that everybody is interested in what I want, whereas on Twitter I feel like I have more of a pointed audience. But Meerkat's opened up the doors, like we talked about earlier. It's just opened up the doors to a different type of audience, and I like what you said, where it bridges. It gives me a different channel to engage with those people. And for those of you that say, how do you grow an audience? This is the only answer anyone should ever give you. Just do it. Get on there and get on there and talk. Get on there and do something. I can't tell you what to do. I don't know what your expertise is, but whatever that may be, just get on there and make it happen. If you sit here and, well, do I look good enough? Do I you can sit. The time is now. I really think. I mean, you are the greatest person to tell your story, share your passion, deliver your value proposition. It's no longer an excuse that my company doesn't let me do it. I don't have a job that people understand. You know what? We have the tools today to tell your own damn story, get your voice heard. It's now ways to figure out what your story is, because I think the hardest problem is knowing what your story is, and that's hard. And trust me, I always talk about it. I didn't really understand what my passion or my story was until the last couple of years, and I was very boisterous. I'm the same person, but I think for the longest time, what the value I was trying to provide, how I was trying to impact people's lives, was not the way that ended up growing to what it was, because I wasn't actually being myself 100% of the time. And I think when you be yourself, you tell your story, and you listen to your community, I think the other elements almost fall into place. And people, I don't need 100 people I don't need. It's funny because someone told me the other day, they're like, Brian, you realize you're on the same time Nora's on Meerkat. And I laughed and said, not one of her audience is who I want, who I need on my audience. And I respect her for what she's delivering, and she has a whole different strategy than I do. But for me, Gary Vee is doing his 100th episode right now. That might be a difference on my audience right now. But there's two kind of drastic things there, and I think we can't overlap it. And even Vinny, to your point, like you said, it's about understanding your story and delivering your value, not figuring out what other people want to hear, because when you do it that way, social sucks and video sucks as well. Well, just stop saying I'm not ready for it. I'm not ready. I can't do it. It's like asking people to come on to shows like like this live panel. Well, I'm not ready. I'm not. If you're not ready today, you're not ready tomorrow. If you're not ready tomorrow, you're not ready the next day. Like when is that moment when you say, I'm going to do this? And, again, I'm going back to how do I grow my following, or for me, it was, my video kind of light bulb was when I had Sexy Savvy Social, Amy Schmittauer, on MCO Talk. And she opened my eyes, just a couple things she said, opened my eyes to it, and I said, today's the day I'm going to start doing more video. Just jump in there. That's the biggest thing. I think Rachel, I gotta let her talk. I forget that she needs to talk, and she's there sometimes. She's so quiet.
Hey, I'm just listening. No, this is fantastic. So I asked question 5 on Twitter, but I'm actually going to skip it for you guys. I think we covered a lot of the bridging of communities is more of the just go for it, and if they like it, fantastic. Which is, I more or less agree with that. But question 6 is one that I'm intrigued about, because for me, no filter, the phrase, is like the new, don't take this personally, but it's like people always start a conversation and they're going to say something harsh.
Isn't that just like a hashtag that you use on Instagram or something, no filter?
No. So when you see the phrase no filter, what do you think, Mr. Landino?
The phrase no filter can go so many ways, and I think it's interpreted so many ways by so many different people. Like you said, some people are like, I'm going to use no filter so that I don't piss anybody off. I'm going to use no filter to show that this is raw and real. And for me, the phrase no filter, I'm not a fan of. I think everything is no filter. There's no filter.
We're no filter now, but we're,
no filter. But I don't need to tell you that this is no filter. I don't need to tell you that this is real talk. This is real. This is happening. This is it. This is not fake. And I don't knock anybody that uses those phrases at all. I get it. Sometimes you need to, because it's so hard on Twitter, or it's so hard via text to show what are you trying to say. So we use these phrases.
It's a punctuation in some cases.
Absolutely.
No filter.
But for me, there's no filter. No filter is no filter. That's what I do no matter what. I'm never going to put a filter on my content. If I swear, if I drop an F-bomb, it happens. That's me. That's the way I talk. But I also am not going to increase my usage of the F-bomb to show that I'm Gary V, or this is the way I talk. Well, I do cuss a lot, but I also know when to turn that off. When I'm
actually, I'll give a shout out to Joe Manna, who's watching in our feed, right? He asked me the other night. I was at a Phoenix tweet up, right? And he asked me. He said, "Brian," he goes, "Is yours a family-friendly Meerkat stream? Do you cuss?" And I said, "I don't not cuss." And what I meant by that was I am who I am, and what comes out comes out. But so here's the no filter element, and it's something that really freaking bothers me. Transparency and oversharing are two different things. And you know what? No filter and the fact that you say what's on your mind and being an asshole are two different things. And yes, I cussed there because I am who I am. But there's an element here where I think, and let's even get off the idea of no filter, is people want to prove that they're raw and prove that what they're doing is honest and true. And you know how you do that? By what you say and how you do it through your actions, not by the hashtag you use on it. And a great example for me of that is Ted Rubin, right? I mean, I had an awesome experience this Saturday, right? 4 years ago, and I'm writing a blog post on it, so I looked it up. 4 years ago, I sent one tweet to Ted Rubin about his book. This weekend, he hung out with me and my family, and when my daughters are calling him Uncle Ted. And you know what? He never uses the word unfiltered or no filter, or that I'm not a social media guru. But you know what he does do? He engages and builds relationships. And I think when we're talking about this, unfortunately, some people try to, and I say some people, I'm talking about some of the people that they know who I'm talking about, because trust me, they haven't had a piece of content shared on my Twitter feed in a year. They lived in this myth that the reason that they could claim that they were real is because nobody challenged it, nobody knew better. And today, to stand out from the noise, you do have to be real. You do have to provide value. And that's why I say show you care, because you know what? If you don't, too often people tell you what to do or why you suck. Why don't you focus on telling them how to be better? And that's the real piece where you actually engage and provide value. I think, unfortunately, some people get off on this idea that says, I'm the expert and I'm going to get on video and do exactly what Gary Vaynerchuk does. Well, you know what? Gary Vaynerchuk has how many businesses does he run? How much stuff is he does successful? I'm not trying to be the next Gary Vaynerchuk, but you know what? I listen and learn from him so that I know what to do, but I also know what to do to stand out by myself. I'm going to be the next iSocial Fans, and that's what I focus on. And I think that's where every one of these people, I mean, if we're looking at video and you want to be real on there, here's how you be real. You be real by being comfortable in your own skin and being exactly who you are. If you're suck offline, you know what? Suck online. Maybe someone likes that. But you know what? The fact that people become fake and then they kind of have to go into this element of, I would say forced authenticity, which just comes across more like you're a dick.
I'm going to kind of reel this back to the audience.
Yeah, sorry, I got a little ranty.
No, it's all right. Carrie Maslin said, I don't think no filter is a strategy in business. You should always be authentic and professional, no excuses for poor behavior. And I completely echo that. You can't just you can't just throw a hashtag on it. It's like using LOL or a smiley face emoji on everything because you don't know how someone's going to take it. And if they take it one way, you can be like, well, I dropped an LOL. Or if they take it one way, you can be like, oh, no filter, all these other hashtags that people create, it's the same thing. So if you're just there and you just be yourself, then you have nothing to worry about. You never have to say, I don't have to use those hashtags, and I never do use those types of hashtags. I don't ever have to say, oh, well, I'm being real, I'm just being real, and it seems to be
also gives into, I hear how so many people tell me, well, Brian, that's just because I was doing real-time video, that's why I sucked, or that's why there was no value. Real time does not give you an excuse to have no strategy. That is crap. Real time means that you're providing value at the time where that matters to your audience, but there has to be a strategy. I mean, a lot of times for me, I get on there with a concept, and you know what my strategy is? To provide value to my audience, to listen to comments, to engage, to make sure that when people leave my stream, they don't turn off my notifications. Because I tell you what, Meerkat and Periscope bother the hell out of me with those damn notifications. And the worst thing you can do for somebody is give them a reason to turn off those notifications. Because then when you are providing value, your voice isn't even heard. And I think that's saying something to me. And I think the nice part about Twitter is you can't own a hashtag. And even if you're the person that uses it the most, you don't own it. But if your actions match the hashtag that you associate with your actions, you'll own it. That's why some of these people have a hashtag that's associated with them. But there's a difference between someone that puts it on everything and doesn't live it, and then someone that actually puts it on stuff because it is who they are. And I mean, I'm trying to write a book right now, and that was one of Gary Vee's advice to me, was, write a book to either make money or to build off your philosophy and tell everybody what you believe. And I think that's how I look at this whole element of what video is. I'm conveying my story. Take it or leave it. I'm going to lose clients. I live streamed getting a tattoo the other day, right? I don't know if everybody tuned into this. And you know what I did is I reached out to some CEOs and some friends, and I told them I was doing it. And here's the reason. I presented at the Joint Chiefs of Staff, but at the CMO huddle that I was involved in this past Monday, someone came up to me and said, Brian, I love that you wear Chuck Taylors. I love that you're a millennial. I love that you're raw, that you didn't, you just are who you are. You talk a lot. But he's like, this is something we need more of. He goes, but the only thing is, I just can't trust or believe in anybody that has tattoos. And my first thing was like, oh, well, look what I have, and I have an appointment this Thursday. So what I did was I'm like, if I want change to happen, if I believe that people need to embrace the authenticity and they are who they are, people make mistakes. People do keg stand in college. Don't tell me you're not going to hire them when they're 26 because they have a Facebook keg stand on their Facebook picture. And so for me, you know what? Some of us have tattoos from personal expression. It doesn't make us any less of a person, and it just makes us more authentic. And so for me, I live streamed the hell out of that. And I got some people that told me that they were going to throw up. Shout out to Sue B. Zimmerman. She said she could never watch that because even needles or tattoos or blood, make her queasy. But for me, it was proving a point. You know what? If I'm going to talk about we need to change the misconception, the mislabeling, the myths around certain things or certain people, I better live it. Because if I didn't stream that or if I didn't take pictures because I didn't want it to be on my Instagram or I was afraid what people were going to think, why would someone listen to me about investing in your personal brand and being true to yourself?
Yeah. Well, we can talk about this all day, and I think there's so many different views on it. Everyone's going to think differently of it. But again, Brian, that's the way you feel, and I right in line with you. I don't think that you should hide anything. There's no need to. It's like what my grandmother used to tell me all the time. My nonna, she used to say, "What you don't do, nobody will ever know." And she said it in Italian, and it makes sounds better in Italian. But what you don't do, no one will ever know. So I follow that. I have always followed that. That's basically her saying, "Be real." You know, that's her hashtag if she could create one.
That might be my new favorite saying. I haven't heard it put that way, but that's badass. I like that a lot.
Yeah, my grandmother's a wise
Shout out
woman.
to Enzo's grandma for the real talk there.
Shout out to
we only have a couple minutes left, so let's circle back to the topic at hand. And I want each of you to share your #1 tip for getting started on video, excluding just the whole just do it. What would be your next best tip?
Oh, wow. Just have in your mind, have some sort of idea, at least an idea of content that you're going to deliver, and make sure that it's something that you can be consistent about. You know, that's where a lot of those, like Rachel, you were saying before, you get all these notifications of people walking their dog. Well, that gets old after a while. You can't build a strategy around walking my dog. But if you had a show that you created around walking my dog, like daily news while walking my dog, whatever it may be, then it's different, you know. So
right, because it's not about you.
Not about you.
It's about your audience.
It's about the audience. So if you're giving them value, then you can do whatever you'd like. But I would say have some sort of idea of a strategy. You know, whether it was growing up, now, I rarely use notes for anything. I rarely use an outline because I don't know where things are going to go. I have no idea. I don't know what's going to come up. So allow yourself to be very flexible in what you want to talk about. And if you're concerned, not concerned, if you are truly engaged with your audience, you don't need to have a script because they will guide you where you want it to go. And that's how I am. You know, I let my audience guide the way. Again, I have to keep in mind what my overall mission is because I don't want to go too far off my topics. But as long as I have an idea of what my parameters are, then I just let it, you know, I'm good to go. And there's a lot more people get kind of like, I can't do that. I'm not like that. I'm so type A, blah, blah, blah. You can do it. No matter what type of personality you have, you can do it because, like I said, you keep yourself in line with a strategy, your overall mission. You know, Brian has his personal branding. So Brian focuses on, he has always some sort of, I mean, like you just said, he freaking live streamed your tattoo. I mean, it works into some sort of strategy for you. I did karaoke. It works into some strategy for me. Rachel may do something else. You know, she might meerkat a run, but that works for maybe her personal brand. Whatever it is.
Nobody needs to hear the effort that goes into that.
Again, well, you know, on that same point, Vincenzo, you know, like I think this is my tip. A failed real-time video today is better than a perfect video tomorrow. And what I mean by that is, and we all put these hurdles in front of us. And the reason most podcasts fail, and this is kind of a weird segue, but bear with me, most podcasts don't get to the 7th episode because people start redefining and trying to focus on productivity and putting it off and putting it off. And you know what? For me, I always noticed the more roadblocks I put in, the more things that needed to be done before I started doing something, the less it happened. And so for me, I think it's about, hey, you know, embrace failing fast. If you get on video and all of a sudden the camera doesn't work, I mean, we've had Google Hangouts that, you know, don't work or streams are breaking, and you know what? They come back the next week because they know that's just life happens, shit happens. But if we would always have focused on being perfect the next day, I think we will chase being perfect the next day every day, and you'll never engage real time. And I think the other aspect of that is you don't have to, you know, I think test, tweak, and adjust. You know, what you come out the gate with is not what you have to. I mean, video is pretty easy. You know, when you do video, like even when I do a live event, I'm like, I'm going to interview influencers. Well, I interview influencers, I'm like, well, these influencers are boring as hell. All right, now I'm going to change it up. Now I'm going to do, you know, I'm going to do a different perspective, or I'm going to go, you know, do the showroom floor. I think that's the aspect. But I think truly the element here is perfection is not the goal. Relating with your audience and providing value is, and when you focus on that, screw perfection. I don't need to be perfect. I don't ever want to be perfect. You know, but I do try really hard to respect my viewers' time as well as mine. And if I'm gonna spend an hour on there, it's gonna be an hour worth of value for my audience. And I think that's where some people kind of get a little bit hairy, and that shock video is gonna wear off very soon. So I know this is an awesome topic. I love the engagement. All the different avenues are jumping off. Apparently, lots of people are telling me to slow down on the caffeine. The funny part is it's only been 1 Monster today, and usually it's a 2 Monster day. But Vincenzo, I love what you're doing, my friend. You know, I'm a fan of yours. I think you're someone that people are going to take notice of if they haven't already. Make sure you guys tune into the chat that Vincenzo hosts Wednesday nights. He's doing some great things on this millennial mindset, a really millennial lifestyle, millennial, the way millennials are thinking. It's not, you don't have to be a millennial to participate in this. This is about where we're living today and how things are changing. I love that you're doing that, Vinny. I like the way that you worked with Jason Derulo. Apparently, if Applebee's trusts you to go do it, I say brands that are out there right now, if you want someone to go provide value, connect with your audience, hit up Vincenzo Landino. He'll go provide great value. I think it's awesome. Rachel, awesome topic. This is all you. Most people probably would have thought it was me because I'm all over the video. But Rachel, I thought your approach to this topic was spot on. And you know, our goal when we came together to do the show was that we provide actionable insights so that people can make a difference. And I hope from this week to next week, we have more people trying out Meerkat, Periscope, Twitter video because of the show. And that's really all that matters to us, right?
Absolutely.
All right, Vincenzo, let people know where they can find you.
You can find me at Vincenzo Landino on the Twitters. You can find me at vincenzolandino.com, which is being overhauled as we speak. It's been kind of been overhauled for the past couple weeks, but that'll be my main base. You'll see I'll have all of my media there, whether it's MCO Talk or any other shows that I'm on, whether it's the YI Social Podcast or SBiz Hour, or whether it's some clips from Periscope or Meerkat. That'll all be housed there. My blog posts will be there. So that's where I'd like everyone to go, vincenzolandino.com or at Vincenzo Landino on Twitter. And you can find me, I mean, it's very easy to find me anywhere else. I don't block any of my profiles, so whether it's Instagram or Facebook or Google Plus or I don't even know, whatever else I'm part of, you can find me. Most of it is Vincenzo Landino or some sort of some sort of Vincenzo Landino username. So find me there, connect with me. I'd be happy to take any conversation offline. I don't stray from DMs. I like DMs as long as they're not auto, so go for it.
Love it. Yeah, every Monday, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific, we are here doing the show using the hashtag SBizHour, but SBizHour is 365. We have an awesome community of not only people blogging, but people sharing content. You know, we're truly fortunate that the community that we've built as follows us through change, through failures, through video. We love embracing video. We love that all these new chats are coming out that are adding video as well, because I think that's you know, they always say, you know, complimentary, you know, or someone that is doing exactly what you are doing is the, you know, form of flattering is a good thing, and I love it because I think it's all about relating with your audience. I say, you know, jump into that video. Send me your Twitter video. Send me a link that you're going to go do a Meerkat. I'll jump on and watch it. I'm looking forward to more people embracing this platform. So, Rachel, anything else that we have, final words that we need to know? I know I'm going back and forth, and now we're 5 minutes over. So, anything last we have to talk about, or are we good to go?
Nope, that was an awesome show, and I hope to see everybody back next week. We have a really amazing guest in the lineup, so clear your schedule. You do not want to miss next week.
Hear, hear.
And with that, over and out.